Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Inside Artesian Football here on WREP 15 Sports in the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. I'm Eric Meyer, joined as always by head coach Carter Whitson. The Artesians survived. They advanced to round number 2 of sectional play with a dominating win, really, over the Jennings County Panthers. And Coach, if you were to script up what was going to happen in that game, I don't even know if you could have come up with the way it started. On Friday night, you guys had everything going the way that you wanted it to go and really came out of there with a dominating victory in round number 1 over Jennings County.
Yeah, absolutely. We had the momentum from the very first play. You know, they gambled enough to kick it to Andy, and he's had 3 kickoff returns the last 3 weeks, so we were excited to see that. Guys in front of him made plays and made good blocks. That to return an opening kickoff, I haven't had that done yet in my coaching career, so that was awesome. It's just always good to start out 7-0, and then from there, we kind of poured it on pretty quick with some onside kicks, with some quick scores, with some stops on defense. We kind of squashed them pretty early, and it was over. It was over pretty fast.
We talked about it last week on the show, and to steal maybe a Dennis Green quote here, they kind of who we thought they were coming in. We knew that their schedule wasn't nearly as tough as what your guys' were,
Right.
And your kids had the confidence, came out, and really with the first couple of plays when they're able to score, set the tone from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. They're in a phase right now where they're a little bit rebuilding. That coach just took over there in April. So when you take over a job that late, it's really hard just to put your staff together and to get your standards set. So they'll be all right. They've got good facilities, and they've got enough money to kind of rebuild that place, and they hired a really good coach, but they're just in that phase right now to where they're rebuilding. So we jumped out on them early, and like you said, our conference is really tough. Our conference is really tough, and these guys didn't play in that conference. So to have 3-6 versus 3-6 is completely different 3-6 schedules. So it was good win.
Good win for the Artesians. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from Martinsville. Not a ton of them minute-wise because the fact that they only basically played a half a game, mercy rule, but boy, what a way to start right here.
Opening kickoff return right there, Andy Myers taking it to the house. We were pretty jacked up. The sidelines was excited. The guys out there, and then to start out that way is special. Here we go on our first actual drive on offense. We get down there pretty quick and then run inside zone. Tyler Cox makes one guy miss, and then we're up 14-0 before you can blink an eye. Here we get back the ball. Whether we onside kicked or whether we got a stop on defense early in the game, we put all 3 phases together. We've talked about doing that all year, so we got it done early last Friday night. So at least they're listening to me a little bit. Tyler, we got the run game going. Got to make sure we get the run game going again this week. We didn't have a whole lot of success against Mooresville week 8 in the run game, so we really got to be able to run it at them and make some plays. Little play action shot right here, but it hits Matt Thomas on the backside slant. Whatever they give him, Xavier's seeing the field really well. Now that he's healthy and playing well, it gives us a chance offensively. It was a really good effort by our defense. We played there's a stupid celebration again. I said if they make more than one play, they can do their celebration. So I guess last week they could do it. But those guys are having fun. They're playing hard. Malachi Pringle with the sack right there. But to see those defensive guys making those plays, getting those stops is encouraging. We did some different things against Jennings County, and we're continuing to install stuff on our defense to make ourselves better and give ourselves a chance. But it was a good overall effort. There was a shot right there to Andy Myers, and then a little play action, kind of post wheel shot to Craig Wesner. Craig's had a tremendous senior year, and to get him in the end zone was awesome. Back on defense right here, a little screen that we sniffed out pretty good. Malachi stayed right there, and Bo Hess gets in there and makes a great play on a screen, and they didn't do their stupid celebration. So that was my favorite play defensively. There's Billy Bias right here. Billy's returned an interception for a touchdown the last 2 years. To see him do that, he scored on offense, scored on defense. That was really encouraging. That was exciting, and like we talk about, scoring on all 3 phases is special. And you look at the clock right there. We're 9 minutes left into the second quarter, and we're up 35-0. The mercy rule doesn't start till the second half, so we continue to play and get after it. And guys like Anthony Talent right there get some big-time reps. I mean, he's been playing a bunch, but to get those reps that are important and really good for his confidence. There we got the ball to Jacob Burkett right there. You know, Jacob is a 4-year starter, played his butt off at outside linebacker, and, you know, with the depth issues we have at tailback, he's been ready to go do that. So to get him the ball, get him a carry, he had a great run on that, was awesome. There's another shot to Andy Myers. You know, that's a consistent thing we've seen, we've talked about all year. That's what we got to do this week right there. You see multiple guys making tackles and stopping the run. That's going to be the key Friday night. We got to try and make them throw it, and you know, we didn't make them do that week 8. So to make them throw it and to get the ball out like that and make competitive plays at defensive back and safety and linebacker is really good. There's Anthony Talent with this. I think it was the first interception of the year. So good for a senior. Again, they wanted a little bit of a redemption for their senior night performance at home. So to be able to be back in front of our people was encouraging, and we're trying to get back here one more time at least.
I was teasing Anthony about that he actually had to take that pass away from Matthew LaFerry because that was the closest person in the area code that he was defending at that time. Just a little misread. Their guy hitched up underneath the coverage, and the quarterback just chucked it out there. But obviously we could tell when we talked about it, the fact that difference in the conference, the difference in who you play, you can kind of see it a little bit on film. You don't really know for sure until you get out on the field. And then after the start, that was the huge difference, like we said, for you guys.
Well, we talked about it, and you know, who we've seen in the regular season with Bloomington South and with Decatur, and you know, how Greenwood played against us, Whiteland and Mooresville. You know, we're not going to see anybody better than those guys. Now, we might see Greenwood and Mooresville again, which we are seeing Mooresville, but we're not going to see anybody that's just so much better than anybody we've seen. And every week we had, you know, glimpses of production and glimpses of we can win. So the fact that we've seen that, it's not insurmountable. You know, to get a little momentum, get a good playoff win, get our confidence going is encouraging.
This next question may be tough to answer because you may not get the answer until after the game, but the fact that you only basically played a half a game and some of these guys were out, you know, after, you know, early on in that first half of play as well. Help, hurt, going into the game on Friday night against Mooresville?
You know, I think help. We've had the injury elephant all year, so to not have to fight 4 quarters and take those extra hits on your shoulders and legs is a good thing. You know, it's also really fun to get those other guys on the field.
Absolutely.
So we go in at halftime and rearranged our entire depth chart, whether it was offense, defense, special teams, to make sure that everybody that's earned a chance to play. And the playoffs got to. So, you know, rest versus rust is always a coach's argument. I don't think that's going to be too much rust because it wasn't, you know, a whole week off. We prepped all week. We played a half. We scored on all 3 phases of the ball. So, you know, we got our reps in. It wasn't a complete rust scenario.
Reps in for the game coming up on Friday. It's a rematch against the Mooresville Pioneers. You played them a couple of weeks ago in less than ideal weather conditions going into our fall break. The Pioneers were able to come away with a victory, and when you look back at that contest as well, that's a game that it's a play here, a call here, that maybe you're a lot closer than what the final score indicates. Regardless of that, none of that really matters coming into the game on Friday night. I'm sure you guys are fired up, ready to go on Friday at Mooresville.
Yeah, we'll be ready to go, and the weather was perfect for what their game plan was, but that really didn't, you know, that wasn't the reason that they came out and did what they did to us, you know. But we did go out and we scored on our first drive, and we created a turnover on the first drive on defense and got an onside kick. So we had some things go our way early, but then we got a block in the back call on a kickoff return. That's a game-changing flag, and then, you know, they just kind of got their momentum going and really just kind of imposed their will in the run game, and then made us play perfect on offense, and we didn't do that on offense. We didn't run the ball very well. And again, I think they threw 2 passes. One was complete and one was for their backup quarterback. So, you know, they ran it right at us. So we got to stop the run. That's all we talked about all the past few weeks, is stopping the run and getting the right guys in the right places to prep for this one. You know, we thought we'd see these guys. Whenever we saw them week 8, we didn't know when we'd see them, but I was like, I think we'll get them in the first round. That's just how the football gods have been to us this year. So to get them in the second round is good for us. We got a victory in the first round. But, you know, we got to play completely different than what we did last time against these guys.
What are some of the other takeaways? Obviously, like you talked about, stopping the run. What are some of the other things you take away from that first game that you guys are going to have to do different, change to come out with a victory on Friday night?
Yeah, well, one of the things that there's no secrets. All these guys probably watch this show. They're all Twitter friends and Snapchat, and the coaches live here and coach here. So there's no extreme secrets. But just, the fact that we didn't show all our cards week 8 and week 9, and we were prepping for the playoffs, which was, a tough pill for me to swallow. But they played a completely different defense against us week 8. They hadn't played all year. So we've been able to prep for that a little bit, but also prepping for their base defense. And, they suit up a offensive lineman at fullback versus us for the first time, and played a different linebackers without, they changed their numbers and all that kind of stuff. So they had some really good gamesmanship week 8. We'll be so much more prepared, so much better coached this game than we were last time.
When you look at them and some of the things, obviously you've got that week of film from the prior week 8 when you played them, but what are some of the things that they do well? Let's start on the offensive side of the ball.
They tip the scales really well. They are massive human beings. Their tackles are juniors that are 6'4", 6'5", 275 pounds. Good athletes. Their guards are pulling guards that are physical and grind you. Center's solid. Tailbacks are kind of who we've seen from some other teams in the past. Kind of remind me of the kid at Bloomington South. Really patient runners, good runners. And then, offensively and defensively, their best football players, number 13. He's a Division I athlete. He's fast. You can see that obviously from our game and any other game. They try and get him the ball, but he's really impressive on the defensive side of the ball, playing that field outside linebacker.
And this is a team too that you saw in the game, like you mentioned. Now maybe weather dictates this a little bit, but they run the ball on every down except for a couple of them. That's what they want to do. His personality, run it, but he also like to throw it when they have the opportunity to.
Well, he's smart. He wants to throw it, but he, week 8 he didn't need to. So he's been coaching a long time, and he doesn't have too much of an ego to feel like he's got to call all the plays on his play sheet. There's some offensive coordinators like, ooh, let's just choose this one. They had a rhyme and reason for what they were doing, and they've had success doing it. We just got to get them out of that momentum, get them out of that rhythm that they got in week 8 versus us. They play week 9 versus Perry, and Perry actually played okay against them, and they played South Dearborn, and South Dearborn did some decent things. So they tried to throw it around the last 2 weeks a little bit more than they did against us week 8, but I think their game plan will be come run it right at us again and see if we can step up and stop it.
Thing to expect from them offensively and what you guys need to expect defensively from them. On the flip side, like we said, on the defensive side of the ball, they did some different things in week number 8 than what they're used to. Can you talk a little bit about what they did, what they normally do, what you guys are expecting out of them on Friday night on the defensive side?
Yeah,
of the
their
ball?
base defense is a 4-4 cover 3 with again 13 playing to that field and really kind of shutting anything down to the field just as a special athlete. What they did versus us is they put a 3-man front in. They subbed in some coverage linebackers instead of their run stoppers. They dropped 8 about every time. They put 5 guys in the box and dared us to run the ball. And, we just, I'll take the blame. We didn't have a great run game plan for those guys and for that look. So we didn't want to show all our cards once we got down against them. But understanding that, if they come out and do the exact same thing that they did week 8, we'll have so much better of a plan and see if we can get them back into their base one high stuff. Because that's what we're used to seeing, and you get one high, that means Andy and Matt are one-on-one, and we like that.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that are going to be important. What are going to be some of the keys to the game that you guys are going to have to do well to come out with a victory on Friday night and advance to the sectional championship?
Yeah, you can zoom in your cameras to the battle up front. I mean, that's the whole game right there. Can we stop them? Can we attack? Can we be aggressive and do what we're coached to do? On defense, and then offensively, we got to be, if they're going to put 5 guys in the box and we've got 5 blockers, a running back and a quarterback, we have to be able to run the ball to get them, back inside the box so we can get the ball to Andy and Matt on the outside and Craig and Billy. But it's up front all the way. The turnovers, yes, that's going to be huge. The special teams are going to be big, but it is completely up to how we play up front.
Getting healthier going into the game?
Every day.
Every day getting healthier, you and the team, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, Coach A, we appreciate it. We'll see you up there on Friday night.
All right, thanks.
All right, so Artesian head coach Carter Whitson here inside Artesian football. Martinsville traveling to Mooresville on Friday night. Get out there, support the Artesians. 7 o'clock kickoff, round number 2, and it's actually round number 2 as well of Martinsville and Mooresville this year. Get out there, support the Artesians. If you can't make it, flip on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. We'll have it. Hopefully all of our stuff will work and we'll not miss the opening 2 scores of the game, but I'll gladly miss the opening 2 scores of the game if it's
like
us
Yep.
and it happens the way it did last week. But as always, I'd like to thank the coach for coming in, for head coach Carter Whitson. Good luck, by the way, on
Thanks
Friday
so
night.
much.
For Coach Whitson, along with Zane Spangler, who produced it, I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Artesian Football.